PELINGON CARLO.
I am Perseverancia.
I'm Midshipman QUANICO.
I am ALFREDO Senior.
RJ Winbird SALVACION.
I'm REMIGIO.
Today, we are going to talk about blind pilotage. Blind pilotage means the navigation of the ship through restricted waters in low visibility with little or no recourse to the visual observation of objects outside the ship. The principal non-visual aid to navigation that enables this to be done is high-definition warning surface radar, but all available non-visual aids are employed. The organization to achieve this is called Blind Pilotage Organization, comprising a BP team led by a BP officer or blind pilotage officer. Although normally, the accuracy of blind pilotage is such that a ship can be taken to an open anchorage and anchored within 50 yards of the desired place, the degree of risk involved, particularly in restricted waters, must be carefully assessed. Congestion due to other shipping, the consequences of failure of radar or other vital aids once the ship has been committed to her passage, and the number of quality of fixing marks must be taken into account.
What is parallel index technique?
Parallel index. The key to the pilotage is the principle of the parallel index. The running of parallel index line provides real-time information on the ship's lateral position relative to the planned track. On the chart, a line is drawn from the edge of a radar's conspicuous object, parallel to the planned track. The perpendicular distance or cross-index range from the object to the track is then measured. The range strobe on the radar is then set to this range, and the solid China graph line drawn on the display parallel to the planned course on a scale appropriate to the range in use.
Radar clearing ranges are similarly drawn at the maximum or minimum distances from the radar conspicuous objects to keep the ship clear of dangers. These are drawn as broken lines. Wheel over positions are calculated and plotted on the charts. As for visual pilotage, a radar conspicuous mark is selected as close as possible to the wheel over position. A peak line is then drawn through the wheel over position parallel to the new course and the cross-index range measured.
This order must also take into account the organization for blind pilotage. In various circumstances envisaged, the organization described below may have to be modified. It must also be decided who is responsible for informing the captain of the collision risks with other ships. The NO BPO will be fully employed navigating the ship. Therefore, it is essential that the officer in charge of the operation room, who already has an anti-collision plot running, should be made responsible for advising the captain and OOW on this aspect of safety. In normal circumstances, the navigating officer is the pilot of the ship, although, if he is not a navigation sub-specialist, the duty of pilotage devolves on the captain, who may be either perform it himself or, at his discretion, depute any officer of the ship's complement to do so. No matter what, the blind pilotage organization may be the sub-specialist, navigation officer, or NO, is also the pilot of the ship, and thus, he should also be the blind pilotage officer, or BPO.
The navigating officer should remain on the bridge in the poor visibility and conduct blind pilotage from there. It is essential to have another officer who is suitable by training and experience as a blind pilotage officer BSO in the operation room, where he can monitor the blind pilotage and back up the navigational officer on the bridge. The essence of this arrangement is that members of the team do not change position if the visibility change. The navigating officer conduct the pilotage from the bridge whatever the weather or visibility. In good visibility, the BSO acts as a useful check on the visual plan and builds up confidence. In this team, and the command in marginal visibility, the bridge team continues to make use of any visual information to supplement information from the radar.
Our topic today is talking about the blind pilotage and team duties. blind pilotage require a highest degrees of organization and teamwork so that not only are the responsibilities of individual clearly defined, but also all relevant factors may be considered while assessing the shapes and position and their future movement. Suitable arrangement to achieve these are set out in Table 1. This may have to be adjusted depending on the class of ships, the personnel available, and the above comments.
This is the blind pilotage and team duties.
Planning and execution of blind pilotage. To ensure success, the ship must be accurately navigated along with a prearranged track in comparatively unrestricted waters. This is best done by constant fixing using radar in conjunction with other aids such as DECA and echo sounder. In narrow waters and during the final stage of an anchorage, the delays inherent in fixing are unacceptable to the BPO. It is therefore necessary for an anti-collision and navigation in these conditions to work directly from the radar display using a prepared notebook, but it's still necessary to pass radar information for fixing at regular intervals as safety check and insurance against radar failure.
Planning and execution of blind pilotage. The following principles apply. The navigating officer should navigate or pilot the ship. The captain should have easy access to the blind pilotage position and the NO or navigating officer. The ship should be conned from the compass platform because it is only on the bridge that feel of the ship can be retained. The captain, blind safety officer, OW, and the officer in charge of anti-collision plot should be all carefully briefed before the passage by the navigating officer so that they are all entirely familiar with the visual or blind plan. Navigational charts with the NO's prepared visual or blind plan must be available on the bridge and in the operation room.
The whole piloted team should be exercised as frequently as possible in clear weather, in visual and blind techniques. Only in this way can the necessary confidence in the system be built up, which will allow runs of some complexity to be conducted safely in blind conditions. The BSO should be closed up on all occasions of entering and leaving harbor and passages through narrow waters when special sea duty men are closed up. BP team should be regarded as part of special sea duty men. There should be good communication between the blind pilotage position and the BSO and personnel, meaning navigational aids fitted elsewhere. All members of the team should be encouraged to admit any doubts they may have regarding the information acquired from sensors.
Blind pilotage execution. Number 1. Carry out a time check to synchronize clocks and watches. Number 2. On the radar display, keep one set of parallel index lines drawn up ahead of those in use. Any more will clutter the display excessively. Rub out lines as soon as they are finished with. Number 3. Identify contacts early by range and bearing from charted object. An accurate estimated position is the most useful aid in identification. Number 4. Fix at frequent intervals and immediately after a change of course, the reckoning or estimated position ahead. A suitable fixing procedure is BPO assistance by fix in 1 minute, BPO Roger using points, Alpha Bravo Charlie, BPO assistance write this in notebook.
This is an example of blind pilotage execution.
Number 5. Ship's speed. One of the factors affecting the choice of ship's speed will be the rate of which the BPO and his assistants are capable of dealing with the radar information. Number 6. It must be appreciated that whatever the technique employed, a drift of line is likely to be detected less readily by the radar than by visual method. Number 7. It is vital to pay attention to the echo sounder and the less depth expected, the nearest land, usually the bottom.
Blind anchorage. A blind anchorage should be planned in the same way as a visual anchorage, But remember to allow steam to radar instead of steam to standard when plotting the let-go position. Distances to run can be obtained by using a dead range on a suitable object ahead, or by measuring the progress of radar conspicuous object along a parallel index line. Full details must be shown on the chart and in the notebook. Distances to run must be marked on the face of the display. These can be backed up by the range strobe, but reliance on the strobe alone is dangerous because the reference is lost as soon as the strobe is required for any other measurement.
This is how blind anchorage works.
Recommendations on pilotage are also made from time to time by IMO or International Maritime Organization. Regulations for merchant ships frequently require compulsory pilotage, although masters who have considerable knowledge of a particular port may be exempted for that port, as may be certain ships regularly trading on the coast concerned. In most ports, it is usual practice for the pilot to take full control of the handling of the ship between the pilot boarding place and the berth. The officer of the watch is required to cooperate closely with the pilot and keep an accurate check on the vessel's position and movements. If there is any doubt as to the pilot's actions and intentions, these should be clarified immediately. If any doubt still remains, it is up to the master and or the officer of the watch to take appropriate action to ensure the safety of the ship.